Welcome back to the morning show here on Rise News. Thank you for staying with us. 2024 has been a profound year for Nigerian consumers, whether of edible consumables, building materials, manufacturing essentials, or patrons of diverse goods and services. For one, prices of those goods and services have been responding to the current economic squeeze by practically going through the roof and not showing any signs of coming back down. However, what remains the major talking points have been quality and quantity control. The ability or willingness of relevant authorities to protect and enforce consumer rights is still being called to question. On the basis of that, consumers of products from the Nigerian market continue to hold the short end of the stick and are considered some of the most endangered in the world. Well, joining us now to have a quick chat around this matter is Sola Salako-Ajulo, a journalist and consumer protection expert. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Shaitan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
to have you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're comfortable with being called a journalist now. It's been a while since you.
Once a journalist, always a journalist.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing a ray of sunshine to the studio this morning. But let's talk about, the 2024 significant economic pressures as they affect, consumers, they have affected Nigerian consumers, across board. Prices are rising steeply, and there's growing concern over the quality of goods and services. Just last week, we saw that video of, of fake goods, milk, vegetable oil, just things that we know Nigerians consume in magnitude. So from your perspective, how would you assess the state of consumer protection in Nigeria this year?
Okay, for someone who has been in this space for over 2 decades now, I would say from where we started from to where we are now, I would say there's been some movement. But are we yet anywhere where we can say we are comfortable? I don't think so. There's still a long way to go. But I want to acknowledge the fact that when I started, there was no awareness at all. There was no structure. There was nothing. I was like a lone voice in the wilderness. I used to write for this day, and that's why he says that. And I used to just make a lot of wahala about this thing. And it started creating more awareness, and people started paying attention. And because we called government out a lot, government started putting structures in place. So from where we started and where we are now, we've made some good progress. But we are just at the foundation. Before we were nowhere. And then we have now laid the foundation with, there's a law. There's an act that was signed into law by the former President Buhari, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act 2018, that actually first gave the some kind of bite or strength to the idea that there should be guidelines as to how consumer protection is done. So we have moved to that point. So now we have the law. So we now need to start to build on it. And that is where we seem to be stuck right now.
Yeah, but we have the law and we have the council that...
the commission.
Yes, the commission,
yes.
Right? Mr. Tujibelo is the current, is it the chair, executive?
Executive vice chairman.
Vice chairman.
Yeah, of the commission.
Will you say that is also progress? Will that be where you also served in Abuja?
No.
Okay.
I currently serve as the honorable member representing the Southwest on the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal. Okay. The law sets up a commission and a tribunal. The tribunal is not very well known because, as the tribunal, you're not supposed to be advertising yourself.
That's right.
But the tribunal is there to adjudicate on everything that the law prohibits. Anything that, if you violate the law, you can bring that to the tribunal and it can be adjudicated upon. And tribunal is not only about lawyers. It's a mixture of various professionals, so that it's a bit more sensitive to the real topic. It's not just about the legal matters alone. It's also sensitive to the issues around consumer protection, which has to do with economy, sociology, and all of those things. Yeah. So it's a mixed kind of tribunal. So yes, the commission has done fantastically well from my perspective. They still can do more, and they will need to do more. But they've done great because, one, a whole lot more Nigerians now feel a sense of there's a place I can actually go to if there's a problem. But the challenge that the competition and the commission has, from my perspective, is that it's supposed to cover the whole of Nigeria. See, consumer protection is on the concurrent list. It's not an exclusive purview of the federal government. So we lack structures in the state and the local government levels.
You served on the board of Lagos State?
Yes, Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency. I was on the pioneer board. So Lagos State has done fantastically well because Lagos State has already domesticated that act and has set up its own agency and structure. So consumers in Lagos State get better protection than consumers in every other state that does not have that structure. So everybody now goes to FCCPC, and FCCPC can only do so much because funding is a great challenge to consumer protection in Nigeria. Most governments don't still understand the correlation between protecting your citizens in their consumption and how it impacts on their standard of living and how it impacts on their productivity and all of that and all that. So government is still dealing with macro issues and not paying that much attention to the micro where consumer protection will be. So we are still trying to advocate and push that government should pay attention to the fact that if you want to take care of the welfare of your people, which is the primary purpose of government according to the Constitution, consumer protection should be on your top list. So we're still advocating and trying to create awareness around that area. So until government catches that vision and now understands that the way we fund healthcare is the way we should fund consumer protection, Nigerians have to find other ways of trying to protect themselves because they have to keep participating in the marketplace. They can't. There's no other way to live. You have to buy and sell. And so you have to create ways to kind of support and protect yourself.
Can a government agency and the government itself protect a Nigerian consumer against the government or government institutions when it comes to...
Interestingly, the Act actually says that it covers everybody who does business in Nigeria, whether you are public or private. As long as you put something out that people pay for, you are covered, that Act can hold you. So if, for instance, a government agency that provides services and co is not providing the service as it should, or there's some structures of exploitation, any consumer who is bold enough can actually challenge them. But the challenge is how many consumers are bold enough, because people already feel...
Would that apply to, let's say, you trying to apply for a passport or for driver's license?
Trust me.
That takes forever to... Do you get...
Trust me, from the language of the law, there are ways in which those things can apply. But you see, what government has done is that government also has put structures in place, like the Servicom agency, that's supposed to look out for its own service issues. By the way, I can take, how do you call it, the accolade for forcing President Obasanjo to do that Servicom thing, because it was during when I was still writing, and every day I was in the column, and I was always after the president, that is the president's fault that all these things are not happening. That was when they set up the Servicom thing, and that was great. But is it being properly implemented? That's a different thing. You know, in Nigeria, we have beautiful laws. It's at the point of implementation that everything starts to crack. But yes, what has happened with the law, what the law has done is that it gives the FCCPC the apex power to regulate consumer protection in every sector. But they share that power concurrently with various other sector regulators. So if, for instance, you want to get driver's license and you have a problem with it, FRSC, within their law, would have some means of consumer protection. So you will first explore that. Now, if that doesn't deliver for you, you can actually report to FCCPC. FCCPC can now get on its own, because FCCPC's role is to protect you. That's their essence, that's their purpose.
Yeah, but how does it get to the tribunal?
No, that tribunal matter. The tribunal, the law says that you can either, when you want to complain, you can either complain to the person who gave you the product or service, or you complain to the sector regulator for that sector, if there's a sector covering that service. It says, or you can decide to just complain directly to the commission. That's what the law says. It now says, in spite of those three, you can actually approach any court of competent jurisdiction to enforce your rights.
All right.
So you can walk to us in the tribunal because we're a court of competent jurisdiction because we're set up for consumer protection.
Yeah.
So you can actually come and file a case against them there. Or you can go to the commission if you want it investigated and co. You can't bring investigation to the tribunal though.
No.
Okay.
You can only bring a matter that needs to be adjudicated on, not to be investigated.
Okay.
So that's just the difference.
All right, then. So let's talk about, the legislation and policy reform in itself. I mean, you have touched on the fact that we have, beautiful laws that are already set in place. The existing consumer protection laws in Nigeria, do you believe that they are sufficient to tackle all the issues that we see today? Or is there still a need for some overhaul on certain policies? And if you do, what areas of legislation do you think need urgent reform and why?
You know, what we have right now, if we even are able to implement like 40% of it effectively, Nigerians will feel it. So it's not perfect, but it is a place to start. It covers most of the things that needs to be covered. One or two things need to be tweaked in it, okay? Nothing too major. But what we have, the FCCPA as it is, gives you enough power. Number one, in the FCCPA, you have protection to say that you can return goods. That's a problem in Nigeria. Nobody believes that you can return.
There's nothing like returning.
Once you give money to a seller in Nigeria, even if you have not even finished negotiation, as soon as he touches the money, he feels it's gone. It's not gone. That's not what the law says. So the law says, as a consumer, if you buy anything that does not meet the expected end, you have a right to return. It gives you a stipulated period, though, within a reasonable time, and all of those things, and then the items that can be or not. So those basic protections are already here in the law. If we can find ways to implement them, to create the structures, to educate, to enlighten, and to implement, we will get a better effect. Do you understand? But are there more laws to be done? Based on the Act, there are a whole lot of regulations that can spin off the Act that can help. So we don't really need to go to National Assembly to do that. Exactly. There are regulations. It empowers the Commission to generate regulations, to create regulations in every sector that is available. So that is the work that the Commission needs to do.
I wonder if there's a problem. I'm curious about this. If there's a problem about overlapping regulatory responsibilities, because I mean, you mentioned agencies like FCCPC, but if we have maybe something that falls under NAFDAC, for example, when we're talking about pharmaceuticals, or when we talk about food, or does this become like a bottleneck in trying to
standard organization?
No, it actually isn't. I just told you the law recognizes the concurrent regulation of all those sector regulators. But what the law says is that there is only one agency in Nigeria that is totally and only responsible for consumer protection. All these other regulators have other functions that they do. Consumer protection, the Commission does not have any other function. Its function is just to protect you. So it is the apex consumer protection arm of the Nigerian economy. So what happens is that while NAFDAC and co do have consumer protection responsibilities, they carry that out. If, for instance, NAFDAC does not do what it's supposed to do, you can report that same matter to the Commission. The Commission will now have, in fact, the law commands the Commission to have some MOUs with all of these sector regulators so that they have ways in which they can work in such a way that it will not be overlapping and all that. So it's very clearly stated. There's no overlap at all. Nobody's taking over anybody's responsibility. The Commission does not have all the resources to be able to do all of this in these other sectors. And don't forget that those sectors are experts in those areas. It's only when there is a conflict, maybe something happens and the NAFDAC says this is what it is, and you don't agree. Who do you report NAFDAC to? You understand? You can take it to the Commission.
All right, Madam Shola, before we let you go, I know that you just launched a book, Protect Yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the title of the book.
Yes.
Does it help me? Does it assist an average Nigerian when it comes to VAT charges, all those funny bank charges and stuff like that? Can we get some
the basic
budgets?
thing that I try to put in here is that one of the things I found in 23 years of advocacy is that most Nigerians are not aware that they have rights. And when they do, they don't know what to do to get their... many of the things that we complain and grumble about, if we just follow 1, 2, 3 steps, you would eventually get them resolved. But most people don't know those steps. So what I did with this is try to put all the knowledge that I have in how to protect. Because people call me, this person did to me, Shola do this for me, so I call the person and sort it out for me, and they think Shola is a magician. I'm not. I just know what to do. So I have tried to simplify the laws in such a way that you can get to understand that, oh, the law gives me this right. When you're standing in front of a seller and he's trying to say you cannot return goods or something, and you say in section so he says I can return this goods.
Do this.
He knows you know what you're talking about. Wow. So that's what this is about.
Protect yourself.
Yes. Protect yourself. Thank you so
and it's
much.
free actually.
Oh,
I'm
really?
actually giving out for free.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because I realized that if we put a price to this, most Nigerians who really need it will not be able to afford it. So I'm talking to my friends and organizations to fund the production of the books, and we're giving out for free. For instance, this book is going to be, you can pick it up for free at Ikeja City Mall on Tuesday. They've given us a stand. They were nice to give us a stand.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
At the Lagos Festival, what's that shopping festival?
The shopping
they also
festival
gave us so you can pick it up there. We're trying to make it available to everybody.
Fantastic.
Right, thank you so much. This has been very, very enlightening. I've been talking to Sola Salako-Ajulo, who is a consumer protection expert.